let me switch to thinking about the U.S. military and force planning, because this is really my bread and butter. Here, I think that a missile proliferated world should really prompt a radical rethinking of the U.S. expeditionary warfare model. That tip-fit thing I was talking about, and those APODs and SPODs, that's all dead in this kind of world. I mean, it's just so easy to hold at risk. So if you care about something, you no longer are going to have 60 to 90 days build up time, mobilize the reserves, have them doing push-ups and getting their flu shots and anthrax shots and everything before you ship them out. The war's going to be over by then. So it's the only two things that really matter are what you have on site and whatever it is you're trying to defend that's frankly more or less permanently stationed there, and the stuff that can almost immediately start fighting from range. And so what I would argue is that the expeditionary warfare model, the joint model, really goes out the window, and you're headed for a very radical relook at U.S. joint roles and missions. In particular, I'll just focus on the biggest one I can think of. This really is kind of like the Eddie Murphy Trading Places, Dan Aykroyd Trading Places movie. It means for the Air Force, going from having all of these close-in air bases to saying we're going to fight from range, and it's going to be a mixture of standoff and penetrating strike systems. And here, as Evan was saying, there's this trade-off between missiles are really great for kind of the 1Z, 2Z shots in. Maybe they're hypersonic. Maybe I've got very altered trajectory systems. Maybe I'm using penetration aids, but I can probably get through your air defenses and go after some critical targets. But if I have to go after a lot of targets over a lot of time, bombers look pretty doggone attractive, or some system that allows me to just continue throwing junk at you in a sustained way. So that's the challenge for the Air Force, is how do I fight better from range? It's exactly the opposite for the Army. The Army right now is all in Fort Lewis and Fort Sill and all these places. The balloon goes up, they're going to get on ships or airplanes and craft, and they'll fly into the theater. That's a thing of the past. Air Force comes back now, or they go to bases that are farther out of reach of the adversary, but the Army goes forward. If you really care about the Baltics, then you better have a plan for how you're going to defend them immediately. You're not going to have 2 weeks to go and work up to that. And there's a lot of wargaming to support that. So if you care about something, you have to be there. And I think if you're going to park anything there, even better than heavy armor, even better than infantry forces, even better than special forces, is going to be, figuring out some new unit of force structure, like mobile missile fire brigades, strike brigades, where you have missile forces. They may or may not be treaty limited, but even having something less than 500 kilometers, if I could park some of those babies right now in the Baltics and Poland and Romania, I'd be far better off than our current posture. They need to be mobile. You have to have survivable C2. It means you're going to have deep underground C2 headquarters. You're going to want to string fiber around. You're going to want to have some alternative comm systems. Kind of think of almost like a mini NC3 posture that you'd have for your forward forces. But I think that's what you're going to need. And for all of this, if you go back to the 1948 Key West Agreement, which kind of laid out the modern roles and missions for the U.S. military, if you read the bottom, it's a very elegant document. It's only about 13 pages long. It says, here's what each service is going to do. And at the bottom it says, oh, by the way, Army, you'll also do some coastal defense stuff. Oh, by the way, Air Force, you could also do some offensive naval mining or some anti-ship stuff. And these cross-domain missions, and that's become kind of a buzzword of the day, that stuff's going to get really important. And so, rethinking, what the roles and missions balances of the services, where increasingly Air Forces are probably your best bet for killing armies. Armies may be your best bet for killing navies, and so on and so forth. Those traits are going to have to come into the fore.